Lesson 7, percent and equations from geometry. So two different things going on in lesson 7. The first one is pretty much just percent problems where you do translation exercises. So we're going to translate a sentence from English into math. So we're going to follow along with the words and write down numbers instead of written words. So the first one is 18 is 20% of what number? So we just start out, we write our numbers. Let me get my pen here. So we get 18. 18 is means equals 20%, which we would write that as a decimal, 0.2 or 0.20. Of is times what number? We don't really need parentheses there. We can just say n. And then to solve, we just divide both sides by 0.20. And you get your answer, which would be n equals 90. So straightforward, just translate from English into algebra. Next one. 1500 is what percent of 250? This one's a little bit different, but we're going to do the same thing. 1500, so we got 1500 is, now we have what percent? So you can do n% if you want of 250 like that. Sometimes you can do it like this to make it make more sense. Percent is per 100 of 250 like that. Sometimes I just leave that out and move my decimal point at the end. So we're going to divide both sides by 250. So we're going to get, if I divide 1500 by 250, we're going to get 6 equals n over 100. Cross multiply, or multiply both sides by 100. So we're going to get 600 equals n. So it's actually 1600%, so I'm going to write percent. A lot of times I don't do this part right here. I just divide, I get the 6, and since I'm looking for percent, I move it over 2 places. Now, the problem here is I don't have the drawings that I have on your paper, so I'm going to have to sketch them freehand, which aren't going to look as good as your paper, but hopefully you have your paper. So I'm just going to do a quick sketch here. So we have 2x plus 2 degrees in this corner. This corner is 7x plus 18 degrees. And this one is 6x plus 10. And you should have your papers out that I handed you in class, and you can look at the better drawings on the paper because this one's really not accurate. The principle to keep in mind is all the degrees of a triangle add up to 180 degrees. So I'm just going to take, these are all your degrees, I'm just going to take and add them together. Here we go. And we know all the angles add up to 180 degrees, so we say equals 180. And we add up all the x's. We have 2x, 7x, and 6x. That adds up to 15x. And we add up all the numbers, 2, 18, and 10. And that adds up to 30 equals 180. We subtract 30 from both sides, so we get 15x equals 150. And we get x equals 10. And it's easy as that. The thing to keep in mind is any triangle, all the angles add up. There's only 3 angles, they add up to 180. The next one, I don't have the diagram on this paper, but I can draw it real quick. We need 3 parallel lines. At least I have a line drawer, so they're going to be straighter than my normal lines. They might not be perfectly parallel. 3 parallel lines cut by a transversal. There we go. The angles that they give us right here are 4x plus 33 degrees. And down here we get 3x degrees. Remember some things that we learned about parallel lines. These lines, if they are on the opposite side of the transversal, these two right here, like this one and this one, they are not congruent. This one is the larger angle, and this one is the smaller angle. But one thing you do know is the 1 slashes and the 2 slashes, the big one and the smaller one, they're a linear pair because they lie on a line. So they add up to 180 degrees. The other thing you should know is if they're on the right side of the transversal above the line, they are going to be corresponding angles, and all the corresponding angles are going to be the same. These ones below the line are also called corresponding angles, and they're going to be the same, like this. So you can go the whole way through, mark up the whole diagram. But the main thing you should note is that this has 1 slash and this has 1 slash. That's how we say that angles are congruent or equal. So we could basically put the 3x up here because it's the same thing. We're saying they are the same thing. They are congruent or equal. Now you can see that since these two angles lie on the same line, they form a linear pair. They add up to 180 degrees. So we do the same thing we did in the previous problem with the triangle. We're going to take and we're going to add these up. Whoops, that did something weird on me. And we're going to say that equals 180 degrees. And if we add those all up, we're going to get 7x plus 33 equals 180. And we're going to get 7x equals 147. And if we divide both sides by 7, we're going to get x equals 21. So the thing to keep in mind here is if two angles lie on the same line with sharing the same side, that's called a linear pair. And linear pairs add up to 180. Even though this angle is down here, we know that this one is the same as this one, is the same as this one because they're corresponding angles. So that's it for example 4. Let's go down to the last one, example 5. I think example 5 is the most different, the one that's going to be harder for you to remember, so really pay attention to this one. This one has a straight line and it has a couple rays coming out of the straight line. Let's see if I can draw this somewhat accurately, since at least I have these straight line drawers like this. And they are rays, which means they start at a point and go on forever. And the bottom one is a straight line, which means it goes on and on forever in both directions. This is A degrees, B degrees, C degrees, and D degrees. Now, all these angles share a side with another angle, and they all lie on one line. So we know that A plus B plus C plus D are all going to add up to 180 degrees. Now the thing that's going to throw you here is it has a ratio of 1 to 2 to 4 to 2. So we have to find the measure of each angle. So the way we're going to do this is it's basically saying that A is whatever that is, B is twice as big. And whatever A is, C is 4 times as big as A. And D is whatever A is, it's twice as big as A. So we're going to say A is going to be X. And let me just change my color here. So this one's going to be X. B is going to be, we're going in order, these correspond. So 1 goes with A, 2 goes with B, 4 goes with C, etc. So B is 2, ratio is twice as big, so we're going to say 2x. C is 4x, and D is 2x. So if A is worth 1, this is twice as big, 4 times as big, 2 times as big. So now, like I said in the beginning, A plus B plus C plus D add up to 180, so now we're going to do it like the other problems. So we have x plus 2x plus 4x plus 2x equals 180 degrees. We'll put the degrees in at the end. So we're going to add up all these x's, and we get 9x equals 180. Divide by 9, we get x equals 20. No, that's not the degree, that's just what x equals. So they want you to find the measure of each angle. So we're going to plug x in for 20 in for x. So we're going to get this one is 20 degrees. This is 40 degrees. This one is 4 times 20, so it'd be 80 degrees. And 2 times 20 is another 40 degrees. So that would be your answer to that problem. So the little extra credit thing for the quiz is it's Sunday night football night at the DMI house. So bear with me while I close this thing down.